In a study done by the National Heart, Lung, and Blood Institution, by the age 13, 53% of American girls say that they're unhappy with their body, and that number increases to 78% by the time they're 17. The National Institute of Mental Health estimates that eating disorders affect more than 5 million Americans each year. As we increase our usage on social media, it also increases how men and women see themselves, especially for communities of color. My interest in this topic grew because not only am I on most social media platforms, but whenever I look in a magazine or at an advertisement or pictures on my timeline, or even when I go to the store to buy makeup, I never see people that look like me, especially shown in a positive light. Today, I would like to explain how mainstream media and lack of representation of women of color can negatively affect self-esteem. Beauty standards have changed drastically over the years, but with the emergence of different editing software like Photoshop, there's been this new pressure to be perfect. Looks have become such an integral part of our lives. Some people don't even leave the house unless they have a full face of makeup on. Society equates perfection to how many likes or comments we get on our pictures. They equate that to being successful, rich, or having a lot of friends, and people work hard and desire to be like that, so they continue following these people, subscribing to these people. And even though, yes, beauty standards have changed and companies are reaching out to people saying it's okay to love you for you and what you like, there's still a lack of representation of African American women and men, and controversial and stereotypical images still plague the African American community today. Early depictions of African Americans were confined to demeaning stereotypical images. And even though some of these images could be seen as positive, like servants, butlers, and nannies, it still reinforced this idea that Black people were servants and devoted to their white masters. African Americans, especially men, are depicted as gangsters, street people, or criminals, or they're overrepresented as perpetrators of violent crime. And when they're seen in positive light, it's usually limited to just sports and music. In a 1997 sample of news network clips, Black speakers accounted for less than 3% of statements made by experts commenting on various issues. So while yes, there has been positive representation of African Americans, especially in the 1980s and 1990s in shows like The Cosby Show, A Different World, or The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, to name a few, by the 2000s, all that had disappeared, and there was little positive representation besides markets catered to Black people like BET or Essence. So yes, even though we have moved past depicting Black people as servants, there's still controversial and stereotypical portrayals of African Americans. The increase of African Americans in media has happened over the past decades, but they're usually not shown in a positive light. They're usually like video vixens, which can still have a negative effect on body image. According to Black feminist theory, the devaluation of the Black woman is rooted in slavery. Black women were violated for others' profit and were viewed as hypersexual Jezebels or sapphires, deserving of this exploitation, or a breeder for their owners' populations. African American women's bodies and beauty has been devalued and rejected by mainstream culture. Media values fair skin, blonde hair, and blue eyes. That's the epitome of beauty. So this idea of a real body, the curvy tan skin, bigger lips, bigger nose, that's all deemed as ugly and less feminine. And Black women are seen as less attractive, and that's transmitted daily through different media and external social institutions like church, school, and work. Black women are more likely to engage in skin bleaching, excessive hair care, and willingness to endure financial debt, all due to beauty. This idea of they want to be accepted. Colorism is another issue that Black people face. It's this idea that people with lighter skin are more favored and valued than those with darker skin. And that too can play an image on self-esteem. Family also plays a role on body image as they transmit messages regarding these images, as they want you to maintain a look that's in accordance to the values of the dominant culture, this European standard of beauty: fair skin, blue eyes, and long blonde hair. So, in conclusion, in order to change our perceptions, we have to change our cultural landscape and see people as people and not their stereotypes. We have to promote these positive narratives instead of contributing to the more negative ones. The emergence of technology, while it is super beneficial, it's increased our negative thoughts and our negative self-hate dialogue. In order to change that, we have to learn to love ourselves and have a healthy relationship with ourselves. The things you wouldn't say to your friends, you probably shouldn't say to yourself. Stop this pressure to be perfect and just love yourself for who you actually are.